How's it going, guys? It is David Cloden from KZR Racing once again, and welcome back to my F1 23 My Team Career Mode for round number 8 today at the Spanish Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the last episode, do feel free to check out my channel. The playlist will be there along with all the subsequent episodes. Not too much time to get through to the Spanish Grand Prix. We've only got a few bits of admin to take care of, so what we are going to do, we're going to do a little bit of simulator training for our second driver, Felipe Drugovich. And yeah, we had a ERS fault in the one of the races beforehand, and we have a 320 resource point boost. I can't remember what. Oh, it was in the. Was it in? No, it wasn't the previous race. It was one of the races beforehand. Can't remember which one it was. It was Saudi Arabia where we had the ERS fault. So that's not too bad. We've now got 2,633 resource points to work with, and we have some stage 1 on everything at the moment. It's mainly the quality control for everything, as well as additional build time on the chassis front. I am going to start focusing more towards the personnel front at some point soon, because I need to get that built up. We have been doing pretty well on the R&D front, but unfortunately, because of our low money income compared to the rest of the field, we are eventually going to hit a wall. So after we do our second driver re-signing for the mid-season, we're going to hold on a little bit until we get enough money to start making some proper upgrades to our facilities. But for the time being, while we've got the cash, we are going to think about another upgrade. The weight redistribution, we're still waiting for the energy cell positioning, store positioning. We can do the weight reduction, but unfortunately we have the capacity reached, so we can't do anything there. What have we got going on at the moment? We've got... Oh, we're pretty much maxed out on everything, so we can't really do much until all those other parts and whatnot come in. So we're going to have to bite the bullet for the Spanish Grand Prix. We can't do much until after that takes place, but hopefully when all these parts come in, we can eventually move on to the next stage of our upgrades, just to try and keep pace in the title fight with where we are at the moment, and hopefully we can pick up some more points as we go through the season, and make a proper challenge next year. But as we now head into qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix, we've got a little bit of a challenge on our hands, because we have had a driver stat update as well to go with our performance update on the cars. So it's going to be interesting to see where all the drivers are in relation to this. Although all I am going to say is this about Spain: I am so glad they finally got rid of this last chicane. We do not have to deal with this absolute pain any longer. Spain now has its flow back with the return to the previous incarnation of those final 2 fast corners, and I'm so happy. But as you can see, we make it safely through Q1. Felipe Drugovich, bit of an improvement. He's now P20 ahead of De Vries and Sargent, so that's a good sign on the driver performance front. Q2, again, not too bad of a formality. This was actually probably my best lap throughout qualifying. Q1 was a pretty scruffy lap, actually. I got a little bit flustered early on in the lap, and it kind of followed me through for the rest of it. But this lap was nice and smooth, nice and easy, and I managed to get the last corner right as well. I understeered a little bit on the lap in Q1, but this was good enough to get us up to a provisional pole position, actually. I went a lot quicker than I thought, but I was pipped at the end by George Russell in the final part of Q2, so I'm not too fussed about that. But I know the other cars around me are going to start picking up the pace as well. But as we head into Q3, we are hit with rain in Q3, and we can see the drops on the camera as well. And the first cars went out on their soft tyres, so they obviously thought it was still dry. So I quickly chucked on the set of soft tyres at the end to go out for my one and only lap while it was as dry as it could be. That little trick I did there, where I picked that last set of soft tyres that becomes available, that's the set that gets handed back. In the third set of soft tyres that you get at the start of qualifying, you can actually keep them for the race. So I try and keep those as fresh as possible in case I have to change my strategy because of a safety car or whatnot. But we're following through on this lap in Q3. It's going to be our one and only lap, and as you can see, I'm taking this as gingerly as possibly can. I know I'm probably not going to be too fast here, but I just want to get this lap in while it is as dry as possible. But as we go through this section, I just take that sausage curb, and it ends up damaging the floor on the underside, and that pays dividends. As you can see, I'm struggling to get the car turned in for the last corner. That really affected me. And as you can see, as we cross the line, we stay P10, we don't improve, and that's where we're all going to finish. Charles Leclerc will take pole position ahead of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, with our main rival at the moment, Oscar Piastri. He was only a tenth ahead of me, so that's how it's going to be. So we're going to skip through here, and we're going to head into the race for the Spanish Grand Prix.
Welcome along, everyone, to sunny Spain, specifically to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. So many great moments in Formula One history have been written at this very track over the years, including Michael Schumacher's first win for Ferrari back in '96. That win was in the rain. We might have better weather here today, but we're just as overjoyed to be at the Spanish Grand Prix. It's an updated track at Catalunya, and we welcome the removal of the chicane in the final sector, shortening lap times and reducing the total running to 2.9 miles and 14 turns. This was actually the original setup for the track, but it hasn't been used since 2007. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Perez, Hamilton, Russell, Norris, Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Magnussen, Davidson, Fernando Alonso, Bottas, Gasly, Joe, Tsunoda, Ocon, Albon, Stroll, Drugovich, De Vries, Sargent, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And a warm welcome to Natalie Pinkham, who's beside me in the commentary box today. Let's talk about Davidson. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within the team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do. And that has definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Well, here we are on the grid now. P10 for the Grand Prix. No penalties to talk about. As for the strategy, I'm not going to mess around with it too much. I am going to stick with the one stop from softs to mediums, but of course with Spain that depends on the tyre wear. That may change to hard tyres. Outside of that though, we're going to drop the fuel a little bit because we're pretty good on the fuel as we are. But in terms of race pace, I still don't know where we stand. We were pretty good in qualifying, but a couple of the times I felt with race pace at certain circuits, it's not been brilliant, if I'm brutally honest. And also, as another little side note for this race, I forgot to do the replay cameras again, so it's just going to be on boards of where we are. But as you can see, a couple of the guys in the top 10 just ahead of us are on the hard tyres, so that's a bit of an unusual one. So not too much, not expecting too much, to be honest, from this Grand Prix. The Spanish Grand Prix has always been a very car-oriented circuit. That's why you see the Ferraris and the Red Bulls usually up there. I managed to get the P10, but again, we'll have to see what our race pace is like. I'm not going to be too optimistic. I'd love to think that we're in a good position where we are, but we'll have to see, obviously, how the tyre wear is, particularly around Spain. Even on a 30% race distance as we go now to 5 red lights for the Spanish Grand Prix. 5 red lights are out and we are underway. Magnussen gets a blinder. Piastri's had a shocker. As for us, though, we get the second phase of the acceleration. And look at the speed we've got. We have shot past 4, 5, 6 cars. And we're in between both the Red Bull and the Mercedes of Hamilton. We're going to try and go around the outside of Hamilton, get a little bit on the curb. I'm a little bit ginger there because the curbs can be a bit violent on this game. But we are up into P5 from 10th on the grid. That was an electric start. That was probably the best start I could have gotten. But as you can see from lap 4, it's all for naught because Hamilton's got away on the hard tyres. And as you can see through that complex there, I was slithering about all over the place, and even only on lap 4. And honestly, the car felt terrible. I had absolutely no grip whatsoever. It felt like I was driving on ice the whole time, especially through this section here. The revamped hairpin and then up the hill was a horrible section for me. And then going into this last corner, just understeering, trying to understeer wide. I'm like, I didn't understand where this come from. I don't know whether it was the heavy fuel or whatnot, but the car just, for whatever reason, felt so horrible to drive. I mean, through the first part of the lap weren't too bad, but from like turn 6 onwards, and to compound the misery, you probably just saw there, it was our teammate that was retired on the left-hand side of the circuit, so we're the only one flying the flag for KZR Racing. But from here onwards, as soon as we got, well, probably out of this hairpin as well, this hairpin we weren't too bad, but from the next section of corners onwards, the car was just on ice the whole time. It felt like the wings were producing the opposite of downforce, they were producing lift. And as we go on to the end of lap 10, as we drive through the 50 barrier in frustration, we decided we're going to come in a lap early and go onto the hard tyres, because originally at this point, as you can see there, I nearly hit the inside wall. I initially thought that the tyre wear was like not reading properly, because before we pulled into the pits, Piastri caught back up to us and overtook us for P5. So we pulled in a lap early just to get on the hard tyres, just to see if I could push them a little bit harder and not suffer the tyre wear. But we get these hard tyres on, no mistakes from the pit crew, and we're going to come out in P19 near the back of the grid. But this was what I thought at the time. I checked for damage. Everything was all green. There was no hidden damage or whatnot, but the car just felt like, again, as you can see there, cold hard tyres, the car just wanted to snap away from me. As we go on to the end of lap 11, where everyone else is making their pit stops, we do catch up to a whole load of cars. And as you can see there, coming out the pit lane, we lost a whole load of time even on that outlap, as we have to make this really audacious move around the outside of Alonso and through the inside of the next corner on Russell, just to try and get these places back. Because again, through the sector 2 and 3, I just don't know where my pace went. It was just the weirdest thing. Is now we come onto the end of lap 12 onto 13. We're going to get back ahead of Carlos Sainz, so we're back to where we were behind Oscar Piastri. But Piastri's on the better tyre that's going to warm up quicker, and my car in sector 2 is just horrible to drive. So we kept on pushing as hard as we could. That was the general thing. That was all we could do. And again, you see, the car just no grip. The back end just wanted to snap away from me, and I was just so terrified of getting on the throttle anywhere. And again, the end of lap 14 onto 15, it was inevitable that Sainz was going to overtake us down the main straight. He was so close to us. I did think about another look down the inside, but I thought, no, there's no point. He's in a Ferrari. He's going to be faster than us anyway, so I just let him go. And just through turns 2 and 3, I just wash wide through turn 3 and go off, and Sainz has already pulled nearly a second on us as we go at the top, as we get to the top of the hill through turn 4. And here at the end of lap 17 onto 18, I've now got Fernando Alonso for company. We did have George Russell here with us as well, but I think George ended up incurring damage while he was fighting with Alonso behind us, so that was one less car for us to deal with. But these, I had both Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris in a rapid McLaren, thanks to those updates as well, because the performance patch came in. The McLaren has gotten a speed boost, and it shows, because he was not leaving me alone at the entirety of this last stint. As you can see, he's gone to the outside of me to make the move, but this was just the general thing of what I was dealing with for all these laps. Is just being attacked left, right and centre. And Piastri had just completely disappeared into the distance, and Sainz as well. You can see Sainz overtook me, and he wasted no time getting past Piastri. And now on to the final lap. As you can see, Lando Norris has another look around the outside of us, but we just show him give him the cold shoulder and just edge him out towards the outside of turn 1. And fortunately, that was enough for us to secure P7. There wasn't a lot happening in this Grand Prix, I'll be honest, even with the removal of that chicane. Very standard Spanish Grand Prix. Nothing really happened. It all happened at the start. And as you can see, Max Verstappen will win the Spanish Grand Prix. So he's making a comeback now against Charles Leclerc in the standings. We finish up in P7. That was the best that we could have done. We still gained 3 places, but after the start we had, I thought we could have at least carried on with that momentum. But yeah, the car just wasn't playing ball. We just couldn't do anything with the way the car was.
Victory for the team from Milton Keynes then, after a quality performance. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, what a race. At the end of the day, it is all about raw pace, and our winner had it in spades today.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
And there you have the final classification. Max Verstappen wins the Spanish Grand Prix ahead of his teammate Sergio Perez. So Red Bull 1-2, followed by Leclerc, Hamilton, Sainz, Piastri, ourselves, Lando Norris, Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly rounded out the top 10. As we move into the standings, Charles Leclerc's lead has been cut to 31 points ahead of Max Verstappen, with Lewis Hamilton still in the background there. So with the performance patch as well, Red Bull are back ahead of Ferrari in the standings. And that reflects in the constructors as they increase their lead over Ferrari and Mercedes. With ourselves, to be honest, with that performance patch, I'm not looking at McLaren anymore. I'm more looking to Alpine. I'm pretty certain McLaren over the course of this season are going to get the better of us no matter what. So I'm going to be focusing more on finishing ahead of the Alpines now than the McLarens. But speaking of which, even though Piastri did beat us in the rivalry for this race, we win the rivalry overall and get much needed acclaim boost for this championship. So yeah, bit of a short episode this one. Not much happened. As we get back to the thing, we have got our aerodynamic upgrades that have come in, so that's going to be very handy for us as we head to Canada next time. But we're going to go through this one as well, a personnel scenario in regards to our second driver on the simulator. We're going to decline that and give his pace a boost over his awareness. So yeah, sorry for the short episode guys, not much happened, but if you did enjoy it, do leave a like and share this video around. It really does help, and leave a comment as well, those really come in handy. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss another video. I'm David Clayton of KZR Racing, and I will see you next time for hopefully a much more action-packed Canadian Grand Prix. Goodbye. Hello, post-editing David here. Just to let you know, the videos are going to be a bit sporadic at this moment because I've just gone through a couple of events over the last couple of days, and another one coming up in a few weeks' time. So I apologise if the video uploading will be spontaneous. I'm trying my best, but I will try and get these videos up as best as I can for you. Thank you for your patience.